Are you kidding me? $75 million in dead cap. How in the name of all that is holy did the Atlanta Falcons get themselves into this mess? Welcome back to the channel, everyone, where we're cutting through the noise to bring you the real story behind the biggest dramas in the NFL. And right now, there's no drama quite as perplexing, quite as expensive, as the situation brewing down in Flowery Branch with quarterback Kirk Cousins. Just 15 months ago, the Falcons made a splash, signing Kirk Cousins to a massive 4-year, $180 million deal, with a cool $100 million guaranteed. The idea? Stability, a veteran presence, a chance to finally compete in the NFC South. Fast forward to today, and that dream has curdled faster than milk left out in the Georgia sun. The Falcons, in a move that stunned the league, perhaps even stunned Kirk Cousins himself, drafted Michael Penix Jr. with the 8th overall pick. And just like that, the writing was on the wall. Cousins, a quarterback who has made it abundantly clear he wants to start, found himself in a situation where his future in Atlanta looks decidedly like a backup role for 2025. The relationship? Let's just say frosty might be too warm a word. While Cousins did show up for the first set of voluntary OTAs, offensive coordinator Zach Robinson described his attendance as kind of in and out, just getting his own rhythm going. That doesn't exactly scream fully committed to being the veteran mentor. The reality is stark. Cousins wants to start somewhere in 2025, and the Falcons have signaled loud and clear that somewhere isn't going to be Atlanta. But here's the truly mind-boggling part: the financial albatross hanging around their neck. Moving Kirk Cousins right now comes with a staggering $75 million in dead cap. $75 million. That's an astronomical figure, making a trade seem financially unfeasible on the surface. Yet, keeping a highly paid, potentially disgruntled veteran quarterback who knows he's not the long-term answer, and likely not even short-term starter, is hardly in the best interest of a team trying to build around a young passer like Penix Jr. So, despite the financial pain, the Falcons are exploring options, hoping against hope they can find a trade partner willing to take on some of that burden and offer something in return. Enter the analysts. Leave it to the bright minds over at ESPN to dive headfirst into this messy situation. They recently convened a roundtable, putting their heads together to brainstorm potential trade scenarios for Kirk Cousins, presenting their ideas to Falcons beat writer Mark Raimondi. This wasn't just speculation. This was an exercise in painting a realistic picture of what the Falcons might actually be able to hope for in terms of compensation and, crucially, cap relief. The consensus? Don't expect a king's ransom. We're talking day 3 draft picks and some much-needed financial breathing room. Let's break down the proposals laid out on the table. For analysts, for distinct ideas, each trying to thread the needle of finding a team that needs a veteran quarterback and can stomach the cost, while offering the Falcons some kind of palatable return. First up, Jeremy Fowler looked to the AFC North, proposing a deal with the Cleveland Browns. Fowler suggested the Falcons send Kirk Cousins and a 7th-round pick to Cleveland in exchange for quarterback Kenny Pickett, a 6th-round pick, and $10 million in cash. The idea here is the Falcons get a serviceable backup in Pickett, improve their day 3 draft position slightly, and shave $10 million off Cousins' guaranteed money for 2025. Next, Dan Graziano revisited familiar territory for Cousins, the Minnesota Vikings. Graziano's offer was simpler on the player front, but involved future draft capital and cash. He proposed the Vikings acquire Cousins in exchange for a 2026 5th-round pick, a 2027 7th-round pick, and $10 million. From a draft capital perspective, getting a 5th-rounder, even if it's a year away, looks a bit better than Fowler's 6. Ben Solak also stayed in the AFC North, targeting the Pittsburgh Steelers. Solak's proposal was perhaps the leanest in terms of immediate compensation, a conditional 6th-round pick that could elevate to a 5th plus $7.5 million. Compared to the others, the draft pick is less certain, and the cash relief is the lowest offered. Finally, Seth Walder also circled back to the Minnesota Vikings, but with a different player component. Walder's offer involved sending quarterback Sam Howell and $12 million to the Falcons in exchange for Cousins. This deal offered the most immediate cash relief for the Falcons at $12 million, plus another quarterback option in Howell. Now, let's talk about the money, because that's the real driver here. That $75 million dead cap figure is terrifying, but these trades aren't about eliminating it. They're about reducing the hit in 2025 and beyond. And there's a crucial detail that wasn't always highlighted in the initial breakdown. Kirk Cousins has a $10 million roster bonus for 2026 that would follow him to his new team if traded. So, any cash the acquiring team sends back plus that $10 million bonus represents the actual savings for Falcons in terms of future dead cap or salary obligations. Looking at Seth Walder's proposal, for instance, the $12 million in cash from the Vikings plus the $10 million 2026 roster bonus that goes with Cousins means the Falcons would effectively shave $22 million off that daunting $75 million dead cap figure by moving on from him in 2025. That's a significant chunk of change, making deals like Walder's or even Fowler's, which saves $10 million plus the $10 million bonus for a $20 million total, much more appealing financially than just cutting him. But here's where things get complicated, and this is where Falcons beat writer Mark Raimondi's analysis is key. While all of these offers present some level of appeal for Falcons, getting a backup, getting draft capital, getting cap relief, they might be dead on arrival from Kirk Cousins' perspective. Remember, he has a no-trade clause. He controls his destiny here, and his priority is starting. As Raimondi pointed out on ESPN, the offers from the Vikings, while potentially decent for Falcons, are highly unlikely to be accepted by Cousins. Why? Because he'd be going to Minnesota to be a backup behind J.J. McCarthy. Essentially the same situation he's trying to avoid in Atlanta behind Michael Penix Jr. Living in Minnesota might be appealing, but the playing situation isn't. Cousins would almost certainly use his no-trade clause to nix any move back to the Twin Cities as a backup. This leaves a Browns offer, proposed by Jeremy Fowler, as the most likely scenario according to Raimondi. His reasoning is sound. For the Falcons, they get Kenny Pickett, a quarterback who, despite his struggles in Pittsburgh, showed with the Eagles last season he could be a serviceable backup. Crucially, they get that $10 million cash relief plus the $10 million bonus saving. For Cousins, the appeal is reuniting with Kevin Stefanski, his former offensive coordinator in Washington, and a legitimate chance to start in Cleveland, given the uncertainty surrounding their quarterback room. Raimondi called a win for all. Now, calling any deal involving the Cleveland Browns quarterback situation win might be stretching the definition just a tad. Let's be real. Both the Falcons and whoever trades for Cousins are trying to make the best of a difficult, expensive situation. This isn't a home run trade. It's damage control. The Falcons shed a disgruntled player and get some much-needed cap relief, potentially $20 to $22 million compared to a full $75 million hit if they moved on without a trade. The Browns, on the other hand, add a veteran presence to what has frankly been a quarterback circus, hoping Cousins can bring some stability, even if just for a year. The Falcons have publicly maintained they're comfortable with Kirk Cousins as a backup for the 2025 season. But is that just posturing? Given the financial implications and the potential for locker room awkwardness, it feels like a gamble, holding on to Cousins through the summer, perhaps hoping another team suffers an injury or finds themselves desperate, could potentially yield a better return than a day 3 pick and some cap relief. Or it could mean they're stuck with the situation they're in. The Kirk Cousins saga in Atlanta is far from over. These ESPN proposals give us a window into the difficult reality the Falcons face and the limited options available. It's a mess, it's expensive, and how it resolves will have ripple effects for both the Falcons' future and Kirk Cousins' career. What do you think? Which of these proposed trades makes the most sense? Or are the Falcons better off just holding on to Cousins? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. And hey, if you enjoyed this deep dive into the Falcons' quarterback conundrum, do me a favor, smash that like button. It really helps the channel grow. And make sure you're subscribed and have notifications turned on so you don't miss our next exclusive report breaking down the biggest stories in the NFL. Thanks for watching.